We've already talked to 3 FIFA World Cup winners, Xavi Hernandez and Kaká, who lifted the trophy back in 2010 and 2002, as well as FIFA World Cup record player Lothar Matthäus, who won the title in 1990. Today we are delighted to welcome the best referee of all time, Pierluigi Collina, and FIFA's Chief of Global Football Development, Mr. Invincible himself, Arsene Wenger. A warm welcome to another episode in our Living Football series, brought to you from the home of FIFA. His Arsenal team went through the entire 2003-2004 season unbeaten in the league, a record that stands to this day. That's why they are called the Invincibles. We are delighted that Arsene Wenger is joining us, FIFA's Chief of Global Football Development. Thank you for being with us, Arsene.
Thank you very much.
Arsene, before we talk about the past, let's look to the future. Why might there soon be more of probably the most beautiful part of our game, namely more goals?
More goals is, we want to help the game to become more spectacular, quicker, and more enjoyable to watch, and to play as well. So we have, of course, I have people around me who thinks about how can we make this game more attractive. It's the most popular sport in the world at the moment, but I think as well, it's a trick there that you have not to refuse to evolve, and to stand still would be bad.
So what does it mean concrete? Because you have a new idea.
I have a new idea, and I have many ideas, and of course we have to check them, to experiment them, and then to come to conclusions. One of them is to use the offside rule, to change a little bit the offside rule.
Arsene, you presented this idea, a new offside rule, at the annual IFAB meeting, but how did the idea originally come about?
It came basically with the introduction of the VAR, because in the rule of the offside is, in case of uncertainty, the referee gives the benefit of a doubt to the striker. And with the VAR, the benefit of a doubt disappeared, because the precision of the VAR always goes a little bit against the striker, because with a fraction in front, before it was goal, today not anymore, because the VAR said, no, I'm sorry, a little part of your body was in front, and therefore the goal is disallowed. So it is a bit anti-emotional, and so we have seen many frustrating situations because of that.
So far, changes to the offside rule have been extremely rare, so let's listen to what FIFA President Gianni Infantino said about it in the latest press conference after the IFAB meeting.
We'll test a potential change to the offside law, an offside law which has actually only changed twice in 135 years of IFAB. It was, the first one was introduced in 1866, where you had to have 3 players behind. Then in 1925 it was 2 players. Then in 1990 the attacker could be online with or in line with the not online, in line with the defender. Our aim as IFAB, and I'm speaking under the control of my colleagues from the IFAB, is always to see if we can make football more attractive without changing the nature, obviously, of football. When it comes to the offside law, with the change in the game, with the speed in the game, with also the introduction of VAR, which makes it clear when there is an offside and when there is not an offside, whereas without VAR, the referees were having the instructions, in case of doubt, you let go, right? We have been seeing that maybe we can think about a new law which allows a bit more attack in football.
Okay, as the rule currently stands, let's make this clear. Your offside, if a part of your body that could be used to score a goal, is no longer level with the opposing player. What could or what would change now?
What we propose is, as long as any part of your body is level with the defender, you can score with, you're not offside.
You're not offside.
You're not offside.
Okay, so the attacker gains a whole stride.
Exactly. Exactly. Approximately, yes.
Approximately. How does that affect the game? What does the statistics say?
Well, it means that, we have to first analyze the impact on the tactical behavior of the defenders. We'll have to drop deeper, or we'll have to be more aggressive in the offside, and as well, how many times in the game has that an impact. We know on average until now, we have 4 offsides in the Premier League per game. On our analysis of the situations we made, we would have only 2 offsides, so you could have 2 more situations. But you have as well, marginal situations where the player could have a bigger advantage than we expected. So we have to experiment it, yes. And this will happen. What we have planned is to experiment it during national seasons, playing 6 months with half of a season with the former rule and half of a season with the new rule.
Okay.
And then come to a conclusion.
And then we will see. But can you show us what it means on match footage?
I can show you where you have marginal offside. We have here a situation with the French striker where this is given offside because a part of the body is in front of the defender. That would, in our rule, not be offside anymore.
Okay, and not be offside.
So. Not offside, because a part of the body you can score with is level with the defender. We have another team as well. It's Women's World Cup. You see here, this woman has been given offside, but with our rule, she would be onside.
So the game is more attractive?
The game would create more dangerous situations and goal-scoring situations.
And how is the proposal received so far?
Look, I've gone with my team for consultation with managers, defenders, midfielders, strikers from all over the world. And to sum it up a little bit briefly, the defenders were against it.
What a surprise!
What a surprise. And the strikers were all for it. And the midfielder was half-half. So it is an idea that was not rejected, and as well you cannot say everybody was overboard, because the defenders, of course, they don't want to concede goals, what you can understand.
Of course. We have already talked about the next steps. We've also heard about an automated offside.
Oui.
Can you explain this a little bit?
The automated offside means at the moment we have seen situations here where players are on lines, to see if they are offside or not. At the moment, the average time is we have to wait to decide who is offside and who is not offside. On average, maybe 71 seconds or around 70 seconds, sometimes 1 minute, 20 seconds.
Sometimes it feels a little bit longer.
Sometimes even a little bit longer when the situation is very difficult to appreciate. And we have the automated offside, I think, will be ready for 2022. That means automated, that means it goes directly from a signal to the linesman. And the linesman has on his watch a red light that tells him offside or not offside.
And it's also important for the emotions in football.
It is so important because we see many celebrations who are cancelled after that, and of course we are all
exactly
for marginal situations. And that's why I believe that is a very important step for and the semi-automated, it goes first through the VAR, who signals it to the linesman. But we, especially me, I'm of course pushing very hard to have automated offside. That means straight away the signal goes to the linesman.
Let's come to your personal career. I mean, you hold the record for the most Premier League games managed. You are Arsenal's most successful successful manager of all time, an officer of the most excellent order of the British Empire. I love that. You won the league 3 times and the FA Cup 7 times. So which title or award meant the most for you?
Well, maybe the first one, because I came completely unknown. England was a bit isolated football-wise, you know, and they could open the way for other managers. But as well, you know, when I look back, I believe that what is the most difficult at the top level is the consistency, and the fact that, and as well, what I like very much in our job is the values you generate as a manager at a football club. You know, the impulse you give to a club, for the structures, the brand all over the world, the values that you defend, the influence you have on individual people, and I think that's what I'm the most proud of. You win, you lose, you know, titles, but what is very important is I could build a stadium, I could build a training ground, and so.
I mean, if you compare Arsenal at the time you were arriving and now, this is a completely different world.
It's a different world, and so when you look back, you're happy for having contributed somewhere to generate that, you know.
Yeah, amazing. And you're also currently working on a documentary about the Invincibles, the team that went through the entire 2003-2004 season without losing one single league match.
Yes, I wanted. You know when you see the table, we have W win, D draw, and L loss. Mm-hmm. And I wanted a zero under the L, and it was my dream, because I think the most important is a real champion is produce quality, to push himself as far as he can, but as well be capable to repeat, because it's a sign of humility. That means if I do something special tonight, you have to come in tomorrow morning and think, I start from zero again, and I do it again. And I explained to the players that the real champion tend to that consistency and that urgency on day-to-day basis. And that's why I think that was something special.
The motivation to keep it high, on the highest level, I think that's one of the most difficult parts in the game.
It is the most difficult part of any sportsman, because the night you go out, you know, it's windy, rainy, you're 1-0 down, the referee decisions don't go your way, and you can feel, okay, today is not our day.
You play big clubs, you play small clubs.
You play big and small clubs. And if I tell you, you know, we start, for example, I'll give you one example. On the first game of the season, after 20 minutes, we were down to 10 men, so Campbell was sent off. And that was the start of the Invincible season. And we played against Everton, who is not a small team, and we won 2-1, you know. So that shows you that the character of these players, I've given them that target, you know. And at the start, it looked ridiculous. And in the end, I think today, when they look back, they are proud of it.
Definitely, and no other team has managed to repeat the feat.
Yes, and that shows you, you know, we had great teams, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yeah, but there is not a zero.
No, there is no
under
zero,
the L.
because it is difficult to achieve.
As FIFA's Chief of Global Football Development, what are your main goals now, apart from the new offside rule?
You know, the offside rule is only a small part of my responsibility.
Of course.
I would say, to sum it up, as simple as possible, FIFA until now has gone mainly on organizing competition, organized always massive competitions, especially the World Cup, has gone as a guard of rules of the game, and has kept that in a very strong way, and as well has now taken an educational responsibility. I'm part of that, you know. I'm part of being responsible to develop the educational part of the FIFA program. That means educating coaches, educating players all over the world, and try to make the game more beautiful by educating better the players. So my main responsibility is creating research center, creating an academy online for the community, for our football community, as well for public, and as well Another part of it is to create an sophisticated but simple analysis of the top game and explain that to our fans and to the broadcasters.
But you also said you prefer to have a FIFA World Cup every 2 years.
Yes, because what people want is that only game of meanings nowadays, you know. And a part of people do not want, the game has to be simple and something at stake. And 4 years, maybe it's the restrictions you can get. Will the World Cup lose prestige, for example? I don't think so, because we have big competitions who, like the Champions League, is played every year, you know, and the prestige is more linked with the quality of a competition than with the space between the two competitions. On the other hand, I believe as well that it gives more chances for smaller countries to be at the World Cup, because we'll have 48 national teams. And as well, they will be more incited to take charge of the development of their game if they have a bigger chance to go to the World Cup and compete with the bigger teams, you know. And we know that today there's a huge gulf between Europe and the rest of the world. And what we have done, we analyzed all the needs of our 211 MAS. What do they need inside their country? And we will respond to that. But there's one thing that already comes out, and that is important for me to tell you today, is that the more the educational level of the coaches and the player is high, the better the chance for the countries to be in a higher ranking of FIFA.
So this is important to make football truly global.
It is vital to make football truly global, and it is vital as well that we have 70 countries in the world who have a chance to compete at the right level. You know, it's not normal that it's only one confederation that has all the only chance to win the World Cup.
Arsene Wenger, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is FIFA's vision. That's also Gianni Infantino's vision, making football truly global. So these are the next steps. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for being with us. Please come and visit us more often. Football is constantly evolving, and that includes, of course, refereeing and the new technologies. We are now delighted to welcome the chairman of the FIFA Referees Committee. But before we do so, here are a few highlights of the best referee of all time. Magic moment. He whistled the final of the 2002 FIFA World Cup, and you all know him, Pierluigi Collina. Buongiorno, do forte de mami. Pierluigi, come stai?
Buongiorno, molto bene, thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Let's switch to English. Pierluigi, what can you tell us about the ball to your right?
That ball?
Yes.
Wow. It's a great memory of a great day. It's the ball I picked up after having given the final whistle in the World Cup final 2002 in Yokohama. And as I said, it's a great memory, and it is something that I was very determined to bring home with me. And I must confess that I gave the final whistle only after I was sure that I could have picked it up from the pitch.
And do you still have some special images in your mind when it comes to this final? What are the most memorable moments?
Well, I always, this is typical of referees and myself in particular, when you have such an important game like a World Cup final, you are very focused on the match, before the match, during the match, so there is no time to enjoy what is going to happen or what is happening. I have to say that I remember what happened during the match because I've seen it afterwards on television. What I really remember was the emotion I felt after the match when I realized that it was done, and I really lived that moment during the ceremony, the handover of the gold medal, the applause of the whole stadium. I must tell you that when I think even nowadays to those moments, I still feel the goosebump. It's unbelievable.
Pierluigi, you are the most known referee on earth, highly respected by players and fans. You have been and you still are an inspiration for young match officials who dream about a career like yours. What was it that fascinated you about refereeing that kept you motivated all the time to become the best referee of all time?
Well, I have to say I started by chance, so I had no idea to continue. It's something that I experienced when I was 17 years old, and at that age, it is normal for a youngster to do something only for the curiosity to do it, without, I repeat, any objective. But then, being quite a challenging person, I like to face new challenges. So I've been told that I was dealing quite well with that task, and I always try to put another objective ahead of me, step by step, and of course this was a great motivation to continue to improve, and I continue to do it until the very last match I refereed, because I was and I'm still very convinced that this is the way to get yourself very motivated, always thinking that there is something that you can do better than the match before.
There's something that interests me personally very much, because you were a referee before all the new technology appeared. How did you deal with game-changing situations that you probably didn't see, but everyone else saw?
Well, I think it's the same for everyone who worked very hard to be up to the task, up to a difficult task. And when something doesn't go as you would like, that it would have gone, you feel frustration because something happened. Unfortunately, we are a human being, and it is part of our nature to commit mistake. So on one hand, I worked, and we are still working with the referees in trying to get them very well prepared to minimize the possibility that mistakes are committed on the field of play. But then we implemented the technology to provide referees a further support when something unfortunately should happen.
Of course, and I mean, since the FIFA World Cup in 2018, the VAR is reality in top football, and the VAR was a great success in Russia. You say that technology is like a parachute for referees. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I don't think that a referee enters the field of play thinking that he will use the VAR. I repeat, the referees work very hard to be prepared to deliver the best performance possible and not to commit any mistake, to take all the calls in a good way. But if something wrong should happen, it is definitely better to have the VAR helping you, as well as when you are flying, you don't think that you will need a parachute, but in case of need, it is better to have it at your hand.
Well, it feels a lot better, definitely. It's a key objective of FIFA to harness technology. How important is it for making football truly global, to make technology more accessible?
Well, the objective of FIFA is to have, let's say, fair results on the field of play. And technology can help to achieve this objective. Part of the President Infantino vision for the future is to make VAR, so technology, VAR in particular, more affordable for a larger number of member associations or in lower categories within the same member association. So we are trying to find a solution that can be implemented in matches with a lower number of cameras available. You might have seen in the past the setup of VAR at the FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia with 4 video match officials plus 2 review operators, a lot of monitors, a setup which is a sort of 5-star
yes,
which is very difficult to be replicated in other competition because of the cost, but also because of the human resources needed. So what we are trying to do is to find out solutions, I repeat, which are more affordable for a larger number of member association or lower competition.
Pierluigi, last topic for today, different topic, but I have to say I truly loved her because we had her in the interview in the last episode of Living Football. So let me ask you about Edina Alves Batista. What does her performance on the FIFA Club World Cup stage mean for female referees all over the world?
Well, I have to say that the selection of women referees in FIFA male competition started already in 2017 when Esther Staubli was selected for the World Cup Under-17 in India. And then Claudio Pierez was appointed at the World Cup Under-17 in Brazil, 2019. And eventually, Edina Alves was at the Club World Cup, first time in a senior male competition. So certainly has been an achievement for her in particular, but we were not surprised. We were happy of the very good performance delivered by Edina and her assistant referees, also female assistant referees in this competition. But I repeat, we were not surprised. All the decisions in terms of referees selections are taken because of quality. And this is what we will continue to do in the future. We are already working very hard together with the FIFA Director of Refereeing, Massimo Busacca, and also with the FIFA Head of Refereeing Women, Kari Seitz, to prepare the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and the 2023 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. It seems that they are quite far away, but I repeat, we are already working to prepare the referees for those competitions. Certainly, the ongoing pandemic is making our job a bit more difficult. Unfortunately, we cannot run the activities in person as we would like to do. Technology is helping us because we are doing our activities from remote, not in presence, but certainly we cannot wait to get all together and to get back to the more familiar way to prepare referees for our competitions.
As a woman, I have to ask this, Pierluigi. What are the chances that a female referee team is going to whistle a match at the men's FIFA World Cup?
I can say that we are preparing referees. We are not preparing male or female referees. We are preparing referees. So the criteria I mentioned before, quality, is the one that will be chosen for the selection of our match official. So there will be time to make this decision, and I wish all the referees, male and female, to have the opportunity to be part of this competition, because it is an experience I lived twice in my life, which is, I would say, simply great.
And you are absolutely the best role model they could have. So mille grazie, Pierluigi. Hope to see you next time here at the home of FIFA. Pierluigi Collina, the best referee of all time, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.
We stay on the topic of women in football, but as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic left its mark everywhere last year, and FIFA was quick to respond by setting up a COVID-19 relief fund. We have already looked at examples of Thailand and the Kyrgyz Republic, and now we'd like to turn to Mexico, because in a strategic move, the Mexican Football Association has decided to use most of FIFA's grants to support women's football, and in particular to help run the Women's Football League and to support the women's national teams.
Estamos convencidos que el fútbol femenil tiene un potencial importantísimo. Sin embargo, hoy con el tema de la pandemia y lo que se ha visto en el tema económico para los clubes, era importante que la federación, junto con los fondos que nos dio FIFA, inyectáramos ese dinero que permita al fútbol femenil seguir creciendo, seguir afianzando.
La verdad es que nosotros lo agradecemos muchísimo, porque realmente nos ha ayudado tanto para solventar nuestros gastos como para también apoyar a nuestras jugadoras y a todos los que formamos parte del club, para poder mantener estado de salud con las pruebas, con todos los mecanismos que usamos en protocolos de salud para mantener toda esta área posible lo más libre de infección posible.
Está el tema de FIFA Forward, que como sabemos, el caso de Mónica Vergara, que trabaja con nosotros, estuvo en el programa de mentorship con Jill Ellis, y creo que estos recursos son muy bien aprovechados para que sigamos creciendo. Además, sabemos que todos los recursos que está dando FIFA exclusivamente para el fútbol femenil, los hemos visto como traducidos ya en apoyo dentro de la federación.
El apoyo que le están brindando al fútbol femenil en nuestro país, yo creo que es muy bueno, el resaltar, ¿no? Eso, el que todas las nuevas generaciones que tienen ese sueño de ser profesionales ahora lo pueden cumplir. Ahora tenemos esas oportunidades en la mano y hay que aprovecharlas.
Oh, maravilloso, la verdad. Creo que era algo que todas necesitábamos, todas y todos. Y bueno, esperemos que pueda seguir siendo así, porque al final es lo que nos mantiene bien y lo que nos hace felices.
Pues mira, realmente a nosotros nos encantaría tener pronto a nuestra afición aquí. Como te mencionaba, es algo muy importante para nosotros. Su aliento y su apoyo en cada partido es fundamental, pero sabemos también que ahorita lo más importante es que todos se queden en casa, que usen cubrebocas y que al cuidarnos todos, pronto van a regresar con nosotros.
That's it for this episode of Living Football. See you again in 2 weeks' time with other fascinating FIFA football stories and magic World Cup moments. Till then, all the best.